The 5 Yogas. Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga is the yoga of power over the body, and over one's physical nature. According to the teaching of yogis, a practical study of Hatha Yoga gives one ideal health, lengthens their life and gives many new powers and capacities that ordinary we do not possess and which seem almost miraculous. Yogis affirm that a healthy and normal functioning body is more easily subjected to the control of consciousness and mind, than a body that is sick, disordered and unbalanced, and from which one never knows what to expect. Furthermore, it is easier to disregard a healthy body, whereas a sick body subjects the individual to itself, makes us think too much of it, demands too much attention for itself. The first aim therefore of Hatha Yoga is a healthy body. At the same time, Hatha Yoga prepares the physical body to bear all the hardships connected with the function in us of higher physical forces, higher consciousness, will, intense emotions and so on. These forces do not function in ordinary man. Their awakening and development produce terrific strain and pressure on the physical body. If the physical body is not trained and prepared by special exercise, if it is in its usual sickly condition, then it is unable to withstand this pressure. It cannot keep up with the unusually intensive work of the organs or perception and consciousness that is inevitably connected with the development of higher forces and possibilities. In order to enable the heart, brain and nervous system, and other organs, the role of which in the psychic life little is known, if at all to Western science, to bear the pressure of new functions. The whole body must be well balanced, well harmonized, purified, put in order and prepared for the new and tremendously hard work that awaits it. There are many rules evolved by yogis with regard to the regulation and control of the activities of different organs of the body. Yogis assume that the body cannot be left to itself. Instincts do not guide its activity with sufficient vigor. The intervention of the intellect is imperative. One of the fundamental ideas of yogis regarding the body is that in its natural state, the body cannot be taken for the ideal apparatus it is often thought to be. Many functions are only necessary to preserve the existence of the body in various unfavorable conditions. There are also functions that are the result of other, wrong functions. Yogis think that many of these unfavorable conditions have already disappeared, whereas the functions created by them continue to exist. Yogis confirm that by abolishing these needless functions, it is possible to greatly increase energy that can be directed to more useful work. Again, there are many functions that are in a rudimentary state, but which may be developed to an inconceivable degree. The body as given by nature is from the yogi's point of view, only material. A person on their way to higher aims can make use of this material and after a bit of reshaping and remodeling, can create for themselves a tool that will enable them to attain their aims. Yogis confirm that the possibilities latent in the body are enormous. Yogis possess numerous methods and means for decreasing the useless functions of the body, and for awakening and bringing to light new powers and capacities that lie dormant within us. The teachings note that only an insignificant portion of the energy of the body in its natural state is used profitably, that is in preserving the life of the body, and in serving higher aims. The greater part of the energy produced by the body is, in their opinion, spent quite unprofitably. However, they consider it possible to make all the organs of the body work for a single aim, that is, to take all the energy created by the organs, and make it serve higher aims, which at present it often only hinders. Hatha Yoga deals with our physical nature in the strictest sense of the word. That is with vegetable and animal functions. With regard to this physical nature, yogis have long known certain laws that have only in fairly recent times been perceived by Western science. Firstly, the extraordinary independence of the separate organs of the body, and the absence of one common center governing the life of the organism. Secondly, the capacity of one organ to do to a certain extent and in certain cases, the work of another. In observing the independence of various organs and parts of the body, yogis came to the conclusion that the life of our body consists of thousands of separate lives. Each such life presupposes a soul or a consciousness. Yogis recognize these independent lives possessing separate souls, not only in all the various organs but also in the tissues, and in all the substances of the body. Man is a creature possessing the ability to design its own purpose. We can turn the most animal or basic functions into experiences of an entirely different order, furthermore even initiate existence. This is the occult side of Hatha Yoga. These lives and these consciousnesses are the spirits of the body. According to the theory of Hatha Yoga, we are able to subordinate them to us, to make them serve our aims. Hatha yogis learn to control their breathing, blood circulation, and nervous energy. They are said to be able, by holding their breath, almost to stop all the functions of the body, sink it into a lethargy in which one can remain for any length of time without food or air, and without harm to themselves. On the other hand, they are said to be able to intensify breathing and by making it rhythmic with the beating of their heart, to make an enormous supply of vital force. Then to use this force, for instance, for the treatment of diseases, both their own and other people's. By an effort of will, yogis are supposed to be able to suspend the circulation of blood in any part of the body, or, on the contrary, to direct to it an increased supply of fresh arterial blood and nervous energy. It is precisely on this that their method of treatment is based. By learning to govern their own bodies, yogis at the same time learn to govern the whole of the material universe. The human body represents a universe in miniature. It contains everything from mineral to God. This is for them not a mere figure of speech, but the most real truth. Through our bodies we are in contact with the whole of the universe, and with everything in it. The water contained in the human body connects man with all the water of the earth and atmosphere. The oxygen and other gases contained in the human body connect us with the gases of the universe. The carbon with the carbon of the universe, the vital principle with every other living thing. It is clear why this must be so, say the yogis. The water entering into the composition of our bodies is not separated from water outside the body, it is as if it flowed through us. It is the same with air and with all other chemical substances of the body, they all merely travel through the body. By learning to control the various principles, spirits according to occult terminology, composing the body, one becomes able to control the same principles in the world, that is the spirits of nature. At the same time, a right understanding of the principles of Hatha Yoga teaches us to understand the laws of the universe, and our place in the world. Even an elementary acquaintance with the principles and methods of Hatha Yoga show the impossibility of studying yoga without a teacher and without supervision. The results attained by the methods of Hatha Yoga are equally the work of the pupil themselves and the work of the teacher on the pupil. In other yogas this may not be so clear. But in Hatha Yoga there is no doubt about it, particularly when the individual student has understood the principles of asanas. Asanas is the name given in Hatha Yoga to certain special postures of the body which a yogi must learn to assume. Many of these postures appear quite impossible at first glance. They look as if one either must have no bones at all, or must break all their tendons. A number of pictures of the asanas illustrate the difficulty or seeming improbability of these postures. Even the description of the asanas that can be found in books of Hatha Yoga show their difficulty, and their practical impossibility for an ordinary person. Nevertheless, Hatha yogis study these asanas, that is, they train their bodies to assume incredible postures. Everyone can try one of the easiest asanas. This is the posture of the Buddha, so called because the sitting Buddha is usually represented in this asana. The simplest form is when a yogi sits cross-legged, not Turkish fashion, but with one foot placed on the opposite knee and the other knee on the other foot. The legs, being tightly pressed to the ground and to each other. Even this, the simplest of all asanas, is difficult without training and is uncomfortable for most Westerners. The posture described, however, is not a complete asana. If one looks closely at a statue of the Buddha, it can be seen that both feet lie on the knees, heels facing upward. In such a fashion the legs are interwoven in a manner that looks quite impossible. However, it is used in places such as India during meditation. Apart from the outward asanas, there also exist inward asanas that consist of changing the functions of various internal organs, as for example the slowing down or quickening of the heart, and the entire circulation of blood. They further enable one to control a whole series of inner functions that ordinarily are not only outside our control, but in many cases completely unknown to Western science, or only beginning to be suspected. The meaning and ultimate aim of outward asanas is the attainment of control over inner functions. Self-instruction in the asanas presents insurmountable difficulties. There exist descriptions of over 70 asanas. However, even the most complete and detailed descriptions do not give the order in which they should be studied. This order cannot be indicated in books because it depends upon the physical type of the individual. For every physical type a different order is necessary. For every person there exists one or several asanas that they can learn and practice more easily than others. However, the individual themselves will not know their own physical type, and so cannot know which asanas will be easier for them, which they should begin with. We can furthermore not know the preparatory exercises which are different for every asana and for every physical type. All this can only be determined for us by a teacher, possessing a complete knowledge and experience of Hatha Yoga. After a training period of observation, and after certain trial exercises which are set for the pupil, a teacher determines their physical type, tells them which of the asanas they should begin with. One pupil may begin with the 17th asana, another with the 35th, a third with the 57th, a fourth with the 1st, and so on. Having established which of the asanas the pupil must try to master, a teacher gives them special and successive exercises, which are demonstrated to the pupil. These exercises gradually bring them to the desired asana, that enables them to assume and keep for a certain time the requisite posture of the body. When the first asana is attained, the teacher determines the next asana which the pupil must try to attain, and again gives them exercises, which in the course of time bring them to this asana. The study of the wrong asana contains insurmountable difficulties. The practice of the wrong asana can also kill a person, which shows clearly why the study of Hatha Yoga is inadvisable without the aid and supervision of a competent instructor. The chief method of Hatha Yoga, the method that makes possible the subordination to the will of our physical body, and even of the unconscious physical functions, is continuous work on the overcoming of pain. The overcoming of pain, the overcoming of the fear of physical suffering, the overcoming of continual and incessant desire for quiet, ease, and comfort, create the force that transfers a Hatha yogi to another level of being. In the literature, chiefly theosophical, relating to the principles and methods of yoga, there exists a difference of opinion that has a certain significance. There are authors who maintain that the study of yoga must necessarily begin with Hatha Yoga, and that without Hatha Yoga it cannot give any results. Then there are other authors who maintain that Hatha Yoga may be studied only after the other yogas, particularly after Raja Yoga, when the pupil is already in possession of all the powers given by new consciousness. The most correct solution to the question would be to assume that in this case, as well as in many other cases, the difference lies with the individual and depends upon their type. There are many types who must necessarily begin with Hatha Yoga, and then there are types for whom paths through other yogas are possible. In the scientific records of investigators on Indian asceticism that exist in Western literature, Hatha Yoga is often confused with the work of fakirs. The cause of such confusion can easily be understood. The investigators who observe external phenomena do not understand the principles of yoga, and cannot distinguish original phenomena from imitation. Fakirs imitate Hatha yogis. But what is done through Hatha Yoga for the attainment of a definite aim, which is clearly understood, becomes itself the aim of fakirs. Fakirs begin therefore from the most difficult, from extremes and mostly from practices, which injure the physical body. They hold their arms, or one arm stretched upward until the arm withers. They look at a fire or at the sun until they become blind. They deliver themselves to be eaten alive by insects and the like. For a certain period of time some of them in this way develop in themselves strange and supernormal capacities, but their particular form of extremism has nothing in common with the way of Hatha yogis.